Ford CEO PANICS cancels illegal diversity quotas, DEI and LGBT events. And it's another major win from USA Today. Ford becomes latest high-profile American company to pump the brakes on DEI. And from Bloomberg, Ford joins Harley in scaling back DEI policies amid backlash. And from Pink News, they are not happy about this. Ford Motor Company will no longer participate in major annual LGBT equality survey. And even Axios has to admit it. Anti-DEI movement gaining steam as Ford exits LGBT index. Here's the announcement from Robbie Starbuck. Big news. We were in the middle of investigating woke policies at Ford, but this morning, Ford confirmed that they're making big changes. Here are the changes. Ending participation in the HRC's Woke Corporate Equality Index. That's their social credit system. It sounds like there will be no more donations to pride events or other divisive events. ERG groups, those are employee resource groups, must be focused on business. There will be no supplier or dealership diversity quotas. And that's where they only give business or certain opportunities to certain people based on their diversity goals. They're not going to be doing that anymore over at Ford. Ford CEO is calling for respect and civility toward all ideologies and beliefs and is hinting at a merit-based approach for the company in the future. These are major changes for a very big company to make on an immediate basis. But while this isn't everything that we want, it is a great start. Ford Motor Company joins the likes of Harley-Davidson, Lowe's, and John Deere, and Tractor Supply, and others to scale back diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Ford told employees it will no longer participate in an annual survey from an LGBT advocacy group and would not use quotas for minority dealerships and suppliers, the latest company to make changes to its diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives as corporate America faces growing pressure from a conservative activist, Robbie Starbuck, whose anti-DEI campaign is gaining momentum. And of course, Starbuck is just speaking for a lot of people. And he has a team helping him do this. But this is how most of normal people feel throughout the country. Even some people that are not normal understand you can't have these non-merit-based, divisive, illegal programs in place in what's supposed to be a free country. We do have rights. But we are mindful that our employees and customers hold a wide range of beliefs. Ford CEO Jim Farley wrote in an internal email shared with USA Today by Robbie Starbuck. The external and legal environment related to political and social issues continues to evolve. So this is indefensibly illegal behavior. They know that. There are lawsuits all over the country over this. It's time to stop it. When reached for comment, Ford told USA Today, the communication to our global employees speaks for itself. We have nothing further to add. Starbucks said he was investigating Ford's DEI policies before the car maker's announcement. This week, Starbucks claimed credit when home improvement chain Lowe's scaled back DEI initiatives. Ford said it will no longer take part in the Human Rights Campaign's Corporate Equality Index and, quote, best places to work surveys. It also opened its employee resource groups to all workers. So far, it's unclear how extensive the changes are to Ford's overall DEI policies and programs. And with all of these recent failures, you have to wonder, what do the Human Rights Campaign people have to say about all this? And what changes are they going to make? Because trying to force companies to do things that are clearly not legal, as the companies start to back out of this system of theirs, what are they going to do to improve what they want to do so that it complies with at least legal procedures? It looks like so far they're just going to complain because they don't actually know what to do. Human Rights Campaign President Kelly Robinson said the organization, quote, could not be more disappointed to see Ford Motor Company shirking its responsibility to its employees, consumers, and shareholders. But it's not shirking its responsibilities, it's living up to them because they need to operate within the law. And none of the law allows for these ridiculous discriminatory programs. Not on an employee basis and not on a vendor basis. Quote, by failing to support women leaders, employees of color, and LGBT employees, Ford Motor Company is abandoning its financial duty to recruit and keep top talent from across the full talent pool. Of course, the financial duty is not to try to turn an apple into an orange. If people are qualified and they want to work in a legal environment and apply themselves, they can go apply at Ford and any other company. What they shouldn't expect is to be treated differently based on what they look like or what their gender is or who their sexual preferences are for. Even if they decide to change their sexual preferences, that's up to them. Guess what? Of course, it has nothing to do with work. Kelly Robinson continued to complain. Quote, in making their purchasing decisions, consumers should take note that Ford Motor Company has abandoned its commitment to our communities. Lowe's and Ford adopted preemptive changes before Starbucks rallied his social media followers to boycott the companies. And that's true. Starbucks did not announce any type of boycott against Ford or Lowe's. He didn't even announce he was looking into those companies. And they responded in advance of his campaigns because they know he wins. And it's not just him. We win. He's just directing all of this. It's the energy from people on social media that are forcing these companies to go back to staying within the laws. But we are now forcing multi-billion-dollar organizations to change their policies without even posting, just from the fear they have of being the next company that we expose, he said. Starbucks told USA Today he does not release details of his campaigns ahead of time, but incremental change, like at Ford, will not affect our focus on pursuing larger change, even at Ford. Just because they agree to change some things around the margins and even make some substantial changes, and what Ford is doing here, especially even just the public statement, is substantial. There's more that needs to be done, but as business people, we realize not everything can be done just literally overnight. It wasn't started overnight. It could take at least a few months to make further announcements and continue the momentum at each one of these companies that are making changes. And you know I'm going to follow it on this channel. In a nation riven by cultural issues around race, gender, and family, Starbucks belongs to a new wave of agitators pressuring corporate America to back off commitments to DEI, climate change, and issues affecting LGBT people. Emboldened by a Supreme Court decision last year banning affirmative action at the college level, conservative activists like anti-affirmative action crusader Edward Blum and former Trump administration official Stephen Miller have taken aim at the private sector with a wave of legal challenges against companies, government agencies, and nonprofits. Starbucks turns to his nearly 600,000 Twitter followers to generate outrage and put pressure on companies. Also, as someone who covers these topics, I make sure I go to his Twitter account every day to see if there's something new that's just happened that we need to do a video about. So the push on social media is not just about Twitter. And it doesn't stay on Twitter. It starts narratives throughout the culture. A series of companies including Tractor Supply, John Deere, Harley-Davidson, and Jack Daniel's whiskey maker Brown-Forman have made changes to DEI programs at their companies after scrutiny from Starbucks. The CEO of Ford also sits on Harley-Davidson's board of directors. John Deere's CEO John May sits on Ford's board of directors. If it seems like these CEOs all go in the same circles and know each other and help each other out, that's completely true. That is how it works. And they are also usually getting paid substantially to be on each other's boards. Publicly, most business leaders who made commitments following the 2020 death of George Floyd say they remain dedicated to DEI. But privately, they're scrutinizing their DEI investments and backing away from initiatives with quota systems like hiring targets conservatives claim are illegal quotas, because they are illegal quotas. They are saying things like we want 30% or 40% or 10%, some percentage of our employees to be a gender or to look a certain way or to have a certain skin color or sexual preference. If you're wondering if that's an illegal quota system based on existing law, yes, it's completely illegal. There is no law protecting companies from doing that, and there are laws preventing companies from doing that. That's why we say it's illegal. Fellowships and internships that were once open only to historically underrepresented groups, people of certain skin colors, that the people who ran the fellowships and internships would say, oh, well, only certain skin colors are allowed to go here and do this and have this opportunity, are now increasingly open to everyone. A growing number of companies have dropped mentions of diversity goals in shareholder reports. Some even list DEI as a risk factor in their regulatory filings, because when they're communicating with the public and they know they're doing something illegal that is at an expense to the company, that creates a liability. It's an actual risk for an investor to buy their stock. The company may lose money because of what they're doing. The company may be sued because of what they're doing. They may have to pay out millions and millions of dollars because of what they've been doing. So they do need to notify shareholders. There are SEC rules about that to protect the investing public. Diversity advocates who are slipping into some kind of a panic or depression, or perhaps both, say business leaders are trying to steer away from the nation's cultural fault lines while continuing to embrace DEI initiatives that are popular with many consumers and employees. Americans increasingly want businesses to stay out of public policy. Fewer than 4 in 10 adults, that's 38%, believe businesses should take public stances, a decline of 10 percentage points since 2022, according to a recent survey from Gallup and Bentley University. And amazingly, if we're talking about what the public actually wants, the public being the people, the consumers, the investors, the only groups to express majority support for businesses taking public stands are LGBT adults, and that's only 55% of them, Black adults, only 54% of them, and Democrats, only 53% of them. You would have thought at least 2/3 of Democrats would want companies publicly telling you what they believe. But no, not even the Democrats. In this volatile political environment, and it's only volatile because one side keeps attacking the other side, Starbucks sees himself as a corporate watchdog. He frames his campaign as getting politics out of business, which it is. And the only way that the, quote, other side sees it as not politics is because they just expect everyone to just accept their political ideology as reality, which we do not. We are normal people. We don't believe in any of that. We won't just believe whatever we're told to believe. It has to make sense or we're not going to do it. Starbucks credits his success to targeting brands with broad appeal among conservatives that he says have fallen out of alignment with their customers. Tractor Supply, his first target, ended its DEI programs while other companies did not make wholesale changes. But when a company does a full turnaround like Tractor Supply, then we very strongly support people rewarding those types of companies, Robbie Starbuck told USA Today. Proponents argue that DEI initiatives are popular in corporate America because they drive business success, which is nonsense and it's never been proven. Because who would even go and try to prove that something that clearly isn't based on merit and clearly creates divisions within a company, even if it wasn't based on race? Just because certain people are getting opportunities, certain people are getting management positions, certain kids are getting internships, but others aren't. Well, why? Is it merit-based? No, it's not merit-based. Well, how is that not going to cause friction in any system? Some of us have had a brother or a sister or a couple of them growing up. If your brother or your sister were constantly given advantages, money, candy, toys, allowed to do whatever they want, were constantly spoiled, but you didn't give equally to the other child, how would that have turned out at home? It's this same system. You want to say that your daughter instead of your son was historically underrepresented and that's going to explain it away? No, it doesn't. It's nonsense. Quote, opponents of DEI seek to dismantle initiatives because they work. So says Andrea Abrams, Executive Director of Defending American Values Coalition, a member of the Stacey Abrams-founded American Pride Rises Network. And she said this in a statement. Well, if you want to lack credibility, just throw the name Stacey Abrams in there. These guys continue to lose ground as time goes on. Because all it ever was a fad, it was hyped, and it was completely based outside the law. Quote, rather than bowing to the pressures of anti-DEI activists, companies should speak up about the economic successes of DEI and stand firm in their support for programs that increase the talent pool and expand the bottom line. Why is that? Why is it that companies that are having so much financial success and getting so many great employees because they're not hiring based on merit, because they're putting people into positions that they're not qualified for. Why are those companies not speaking out about how much money they're making doing this? Because if they would only do that, then absolutely investors would demand it and say, look, you've got to have more of this. Look how much money we're making. We don't care if it's not fair to certain people. That's not what America is about. America is only about making money. Well, not only is it not fair to everyone at the company, even the person getting the unfair advantage, they're not going to succeed. This is a trend. It's a fad. Over the course of a career isn't 2 or 3 years. A career is 30 years, 40 years. What is this person who was put into a position that they can't handle, who was put there not based on merit, but yes, was a DEI hire? There are many of them in corporate America, in government, in nonprofits. What is that person going to do a few years from now, 5, 10 years from now, when they're trying to plan what to do with their future and they've been kicked out of their job because they're not able to perform? It's not even like they're lazy and not willing to perform. It's that you are doing a job you shouldn't do. I'm pretty good with these videos, but if you put me on an airplane and said, hey, Adam, go fly that airplane. And I was like, all right, do I get a lot of money for it? Sure, I'll give it a shot. If I was to be silly enough to do something like that, do something I know I'm not qualified to do just because it's a good opportunity, it's a lot of money. Everybody loves a pilot, yeah, but is that going to work long term? And do you not even think about those people? Do you just figure, well, we'll just throw people into these positions and somehow it'll all work out? This is going to be millions of people who were put into positions they can't possibly succeed at, completely throwing their careers off track. You're talking about a lost generation and a lot of other people who didn't get appropriate opportunities that are also similarly a lost situation, the people that were discriminated against. But because they're competent and because they're raring to go, they will get those positions. And they will work hard and they will succeed based on merit. But for anyone who's taken advantage of these opportunities and these programs that were not based on merit, and for anybody that was discriminated against with these kinds of programs, they both have to find their way in their future through merit. It's going to be the only way. And that's the way it always should have been, and that's the way it should always be. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.